So, hello guys, welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have Donna here. Hello!
Hi.
So, super happy that you joined us here, and I would like to start with some background of your artistic career and if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Donna. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and I'm a digital artist, and my medium is in mixing photography with illustration. I originally started my career with strictly photography, and I felt like the need to add something more to the photos I'm uploading on Instagram. So I started drawing on them and uploading them, and they gained a lot of traction online. And I started having people repost my images and tell me how much they love them. So I continued, and it's been like I think 2 or 3 years since I've started this hobby, and now I'm working on advertising campaigns and getting hired to do a style of art that I really love and worked hard to create. So that's my career in a nutshell.
Oh, so
Yeah.
cool. So, how many years or how long was it from the time you decided, okay, like photography, then art, and where you are now?
3 years in total. Like I think I quit my job 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and like started this journey. And it took some time for it all to unravel and lead me into this direction. But it's been about 3 years.
Ah, so cool. That's pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, it is pretty quick.
So, what were like the biggest decision you had to do in order to get where you are now? You know, the transition from photography to art career.
So it wasn't much of a decision that was hard to make. It was more of a desire. I really didn't want to be doing that role in my career. I didn't really feel like that was my thing. And the only reason why I was a photographer was because I believe that was the easiest way for me to make money as a creative because I already had some portfolio work for people that I've worked for. Um, so that's basically why I did that, but I really wasn't enjoying any of it. I would follow artists on the internet like avidly, and I used to wish so much that I could make a career out of it until I um, just did it, just put it out there. And I think that's like also my tip to everybody is instead of being so afraid of, what people will think or not succeeding or I don't know, being a loser, just like draw for yourself and do stuff that you love and then see what happens, because if you draw for yourself, that's the most beneficial feeling inside because you know that that's something that you're happy with at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
so, how was it when you were like in high school or before usually people decide like, okay, this will be my career and like deciding that you will do actually photography. Was that like a decision between other things like either photography or illustration or other
Um,
stuff?
so like in high school, I was always in advanced placement art classes. Like I was always put in um, like art classes and I was doing it on the side a lot. I was told my entire life that I shouldn't go pursue art. I should go get a real degree and be a real student and, then decide what I want to do. And I listened. So I was always drawing no matter what, even though people told me that it's not like a way of life, but it was just something that I needed. Um, and I went to a business school and I studied for 4 years there and I hated every minute of it. I changed my major like 5 times. And yeah, I ended up just like leaving the States and like flying to different countries to go study under different artists and expand my mind. And that's all I ever wanted to do was just to become a better artist and learn under some of people that I think are masters in art. So that's what I've been doing for the last few years is just like taking mentors and like learning the craft. And if I couldn't do it as a degree or in school, at least I'm going to figure out my own path of how I'm going to grow as an artist.
Yeah. And did you have
Yeah.
like a favorite books or resources you were learning
Of
from?
course. I had so many books. I used to like spend my time in libraries. Like I think actually, first of all, like when I was like in kindergarten and all of elementary school, I used to spend a lot of time in the library, like reading Disney books and like tracing those photos. And that's how I learned is just like sitting in libraries and looking at all my favorite children's book and like copying them. And then, eventually I guess when I was in high school, I would go to Michael's. Like there wasn't, I think at the time there was no Amazon and there was no like
Michael's is a bookstore, right?
Michael's is an art supply store.
Okay.
But there's Barnes and Nobles as well. So I used to go and buy like how-tos, like step by step, how to draw, you know, these cool cartoons. And I would like follow those books. I used to buy comic books and like, you know, learn from them. You know, and recently I also buy books. Like I'm still an avid follower. You know, if an artist releases a book, I always support them and I buy them and I learn from them. So I have like Steven Silver's book, Tom Bancroft, Pernell Oram. Like I bought everybody's books. I support all of the artists and I love reading them. So yeah, I'm always going to be buying art books and also like Renaissance books. I buy a lot of like art history books and I like to learn from, you know, the masters of history as well.
So what was the important or the most important for you when you were like learning from these books? Was it like characters or was it more composition or like color combinations or what was your passion?
Everything. So, you know, there are some artists that I look for character design, like Steven Silver. I really like how he sees his shapes and how he sees people, and I'll take that from him. And then there's Pernell, and I love how she sees color theory, so I'll learn from her. And you know, I guess Tom is really good with character design and how he uses like the expressions in his character. So I'm always looking at different artists for different things that they're strong at and trying to learn from them. So I think that would be like the right answer to the question.
And do you also take like online classes or you really prefer books?
Both. So I do take online classes. I've taken classes on schoolism. I haven't had as much time as I'd like to participate in those classes, but I also do YouTube tutorials. Every time I have something new that I need, you know, help in, I'll always Google it and figure it out. And I also do, I try to do this daily. I would say it's more of like a weekly task, but I go on Pinterest and I just also like, I study things. So I'll, you know, take a girl and I'll study her eyes and her placement, and I do a lot of personal studies as well. So yeah.
And when you were like deciding where to post your art, when you had the photography and probably you had your own website and you're like, okay, there is Instagram, and did you start posting only on Instagram or was it the one which took off most?
Just Instagram. I only posted on Instagram. I used to work in marketing a lot. You know, this is the first time in my entire life that I'm working in art. So I was always working in fashion and marketing. And I used to work on this Instagram for a designer and I marketed her. And we hit like 1 million followers. And I realized like I really understand social media. So that was the only platform that I really knew well and took it for myself and developed it. But today, I know I should be on more platforms. I just opened a YouTube page like last week. So I want to start like posting content on there, maybe like drawing tutorials or I want to download Twitch. So I know that now is the time to start like expanding the platforms that I'm on. So I'm going to do that.
And are there places where people can learn from you? Because I saw you posted some videos as well on Instagram. Is there something more you want to share where people can like get to know more?
Not yet. I think the best place now is just like if people want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I want to start posting there. So that would be great. But not yet. It's definitely something I want to do, like teaching people. I flew to Chicago with HP to, you know, show people how to work on their tablets and to, you know, I gave a few speeches about different topics in art. And I realized like how much people enjoyed them and learned from them and how much I also love giving information. So I think that I'm going to now move in that direction as well.
And the workshop you did was more like how to draw digitally, or was it like how to be creative around your photos, or what was the topic?
So one of them was lighting and shading, like understanding light and how to use it in your artwork. And then another one on like color theory and how to use that to enhance your images, like how to be more strategic about the color choices that you make. And then the other one was also like how I quit my job and became an artist, because I think some people like to hear that as well. If you're not an artist, maybe it's interesting as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure because there is a lot of people who are actually asking like, is it too late to change? Like I am in I don't know, the job I don't like and I am 40. Is it too late? Or, you know, these kind of questions.
Yeah, it's scary to think that way. But at the end of the day, I always feel like, okay, if you're 40 and you feel like you're doing the wrong thing and you really want to change and you don't do anything about it, then you're going to be 45 and feel that way. So you might as well start then and then be 45 and be like, okay, you know what? Like I took classes for the last 5 years. I've developed the skill and now I have the choice to move forward or not. So I always feel like I felt that way my entire life. And then all of a sudden I found myself, you know, after college without a degree in art. And it's one of the biggest regrets of my life is not going to pursue my love and my passion. So I just think you have to start now. And it goes with everything, like even running. Like sometimes I don't want to work out. I'm like, I have to start now, you know, and not keep putting it off till tomorrow.
Yeah, just to do a bit, at least like 10 minutes, if nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to start today because tomorrow can lead to next year and that can lead to 10 years later and it will never happen.
Yeah. But as well as you mentioned that the art school, like there are like discussions like either going to full art school or just doing online classes, because when you do online classes, you can choose who you want to learn from and you don't have to go maybe to classes you don't want. So it's kind of, which one do you prefer?
I mean, I have taken classes on the side now. Like I've been trying to make up for what I lost. I feel like it's such a silly way to look at it because maybe I wouldn't be here today. If I went to art school, maybe I would have hated it and quit. But I always take art classes, and I think that it's good to not to always choose your teachers because it's good not to be biased because there's always something that someone can open your mind to that you wouldn't have known. And I think you should always be open to new experiences. Like I did one class on perspective, and it was very mathematical, and I hated every minute of it. It was so miserable for me. And I'm so thankful I did that now because I see perspective differently. Now I'm in Paris and I'm seeing all of these big buildings and architecture, and I'm understanding how an artist would need to measure in order to achieve that landscape. So I don't agree with, picking and choosing what you like. I think you have to be open-minded and go through the struggle of doing different art styles that you may not like because it will broaden your horizons. But as far as like not going to art school goes, I know that there's such a debate of like, today, everyone's like, no, you don't need college. You can just learn on your own. And I agree. I think that if you want to be an artist, going to art school is great. But no matter what, if that's what you want to do in life, you will end up doing it. So like whether it's art school or not.
Yeah, because especially in US, the schools are so expensive. So it's a big decision either to go to university or not. In Europe, I feel like it's easier to decide because usually it's not so expensive. It's very, very expensive in the U.S. Like, I think that's actually, by the way, why I didn't go at the end of the day. I applied to a lot of art schools and got in, and I felt guilty asking my parents to pay so much money, even though they were willing to do it. It was the money plus feeling like I wouldn't be accepted in, society, which is so dumb. I still think it's like not the right way of thinking, but it's beyond expensive. Yeah, because we have to decide when we are super young about the future career, and then you just get the opinions of others because you don't know how it really works. And then, most of the society thinks that.
Yeah, and it's also scary. It's scary to think you're going to put now $200,000 into an education, and everyone's going to look at you as, I don't know. Like that girl doesn't have a real education. She studied art. And I know that that's so dumb to say, but like, that's how I felt at the time, that people would look at me like, oh yeah, she just, studied how to doodle and we went to USC and got, business degrees. So it was a lot of pressure that I felt at the time.
And how was it for you to get the first client or first art paid job?
Oh, that was such a crazy feeling to me. I remember, because I didn't do this to make money and I didn't start it to pursue it as a career. I really just did this because I loved it and this is how I see the world, and I needed to just put it on paper. And I remember my first client, it was like maybe 2 months into drawing, someone called me from a shoe brand, a pretty well-known shoe brand. Like, I love your work. We want to hire you. I was like, what? You want to hire me to draw? Like, I freaked out. And so like that was so cool. I just remember feeling like a superstar, and I think I made like $100 on, like it was just like, something I worked hours on, but I felt like the biggest rock star of all time. Like I got paid.
And they found you through Instagram.
Yeah, they found me through Instagram. Yeah, it was I think it was in 2016 was my first client.
Yeah, because a lot of people struggle with this when you do first client work, like how much should I charge? Like, all of these questions. And did you
Yeah.
ask them for a budget or they offered you
I
like,
had no clue, literally no clue. I was just like, I guess I'll charge you $100. Like I didn't even know how, like, I'm like, there were so many things I didn't know, I didn't ask for, that probably today I would be in a lot of like murky water, not asking or, defining and not putting things on paper. But at the time it was still a hobby, and I probably got gypped so much in the beginning. But I believe that you shouldn't get mad at that or linger on, underpricing in the beginning, because that's also school and you have to learn. And I don't regret taking, like small change in the beginning, because I had to learn. Every client was another thing, like copyrights. And then the other one was like, I don't know, usage rights. And every time I had a new client that had new terms, I learned something new and eventually figured out my way of how to manage my business.
yeah. And did you ask other artists, or how did you figure out the pricing and, going forward?
So I asked my friends who are lawyers. So, so I would just ask them and like, what do you think of this and what should I do? And, a lot of them didn't know the answers because it's different. Like they're not artists, they're lawyers and they know law. But I didn't have anyone to ask. Like I didn't have any artist friends. I still don't have any direct artist friends. Like my best friends are photographers and videographers. They're creatives, but they don't do art, like with pen and paper.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anyone to ask. I made it up as I went. Yeah, and I think I was also afraid to ask other artists. I feel like sometimes people are territorial. I think you should always ask and see what happens. But personally, I was afraid to like step on someone's territory. Yeah.
Yeah, if there can be like a competition or, the same project. Yeah.
Yeah, some people can be very weird about sharing information. So I just decided I'll figure it out on my own. And, I had friends who were fashion bloggers. I had friends who, do different kind of things in the industry that I've asked here and there what they do. And I make my own measurements of what makes sense for me. And, every time I get more and more work, I can like increase my pricing until, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you do it in between when the kind of income from the art was not like covering all of your costs? What was covering your costs before? Was it like savings or some other jobs?
Savings. Yeah. So before I became an artist, was a photographer and content producer for 1 year. And I saved a lot of money from that. It was a very good business for me to be in, because it was the start of that, period of time where Instagram is very big and every company needs content. So I worked very hard on that and saved a lot. And I think my first year I lived strictly off of savings, because I really wasn't making enough money. Yeah.
And now when you think about like networking and your main parts of income, is it client work, or how do you get, cover your monthly costs?
Client work. I do a lot of client jobs, and, I've been booked since last year. I've been booked every single month on multiple client pieces.
Great. Congratulations.
So, thank you. Yes, I haven't had to like worry too much. I know that in general, a lot of people speak about, making different avenues of income. So it's something I'm thinking about as well. Maybe starting online classes, or maybe selling merchandise. So my mind is going there, but for now it's just client work.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to see some of your future classes and maybe other stuff. Like would you prefer to have an online course or travel with the workshops?
Both, if I could, because online courses, I think that I don't need to, you do it once and then it stays there. And then if you travel for workshops, that's a little different, but I think I would love to do both. But I do enjoy like human interaction. So I think traveling and seeing people in real life and being able to answer their questions directly is a lot more exciting for me.
Yeah. And what brought you to France, right? Because as you mentioned, you are in Paris. So why not LA? Because a lot of people try to go to LA.
Obviously. I definitely need to go back to LA very soon, because that's all my work is in America, and I definitely need to go back there. But like, I'm doing some art exploration right now. I've done a few workshops here, and I'm just like, I really want to learn more. And I feel like traveling and being in different countries is a very great way to expand your mind. So it's something that I'm working on. I go to museums several times a week to go do studies, to figure things out. I sit in parks here and I draw random people and different sceneries. So, I'm right now in a stage of like travel and, seeing the world and learning from different parts of the world. Like I went to Bali and I went and I studied like ink and pen work, like how they do it. They're so like the way that they do their ink work, like they're so good, and their lines are so strong and they're so fearless, and like that was so cool. And I feel like here I'm learning a lot about like animation as well and art history. So I think everywhere you go, there's always something that the country has to offer you artistically.
Yeah, definitely. And do you go also to some festivals which are local or either in LA or like in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, I went to CTN. I'm going to Lightbox, Bobby Shoe's Lightbox event. I don't know if there's anything happening here, but I'm going to look into it. I went to, some art workshops here, but I'm definitely keeping things on my radar. I know in Dublin, there's a workshop I want to go to in November, so
yeah, there's like some for sure in Europe, but not as many as in LA. So it's always, the CTN, the Lightbox, I'm not planning to go yet, but the CTN I visited last year. That was pretty nice. Do you go there every year? Or
last year I wasn't there. I was there 2 years ago, and I was in heaven. Like it was so much fun for me. Yeah, and I went alone. But I literally stopped at everyone's booth and had a conversation with them and bought their art and went to the lectures, and I had a blast. It was amazing.
Yeah. So do you already have a plan for next year also? Like where are you going to travel or which festivals to join, or you don't plan that far ahead?
Not yet. I mean, like I'm definitely traveling a lot this year, but not specifically for art in all cases. But yeah.
Yeah. But it's really cool, because you can still like plan what you want to work on. And so that's what you do first, like you schedule like client work and then you plan around it, like in the gaps, like, oh, I can travel somewhere here or there.
Yeah, I mean, I actually haven't had any gaps yet. I had a gap for like one day, but it wasn't really a gap. It was just because I finished my work early, and it was so nice to just chill and relax and like allow myself to not do any work. But yeah, I think that I'm looking forward to having some more free time to do more exploration and not worry about, meeting people's demands all the time. Yeah.
So how do you balance your work-life balance, or like, is that such a thing, or is
that's
just like
a really good question.
It's mixed?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question, because I think that I thought that I was alone on this until I opened up to my friends who are also entrepreneurs, and I realized that like we're all suffering with like finding our balance, because we don't have a schedule. We don't have a 9 to 5. Like there's last night I was on phone calls till like 1 a.m. with my US clients, and you wake up early and you have to do things, and like things are constantly moving even on the weekend. So I used to be very stressed out, and I think this happens with anyone who is in the beginning of their career. So I used to be stressed out with like my Instagram and making content, while also being able to do client work, while also being able to work on my website. And there's so many aspects to the business that you don't think about, like your invoices and your financing and your accounting and your social media management. And so I used to get very nervous and feeling like I'm always behind and I need to work harder. And I think it's all about finding your own rhythm. And I found my rhythm, and I don't know if there's anything specific you want to know about it, but like I figured out what works for me and what's mentally healthy. Like taking breaks is something that I don't like doing. I can go from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. with just drinking water as my break. But like I also learned that I suffered a lot later, like not during the time that I was drawing, but later I would just have these headaches, and I would feel very like down, and like, I would feel like energy loss. And I learned that whether or not I feel like it in the moment, I have to take a break. So I will actively go sit with my phone for like, after like 2 hours of working, I'll sit with my phone outside, have a water, call my friend, and just like make sure I take my mind away from it for at least, 20 minutes, and then go back and keep working. And it's helped me have more momentum. So, yeah.
And then you also mentioned that you don't work from home now, so you try to combine also this aspect, right?
That was the best thing I ever did. So I think this is very much dependent on whether or not you're an extrovert or an introvert. So you have friends that love working from home and they wouldn't have it any other way. Me personally, I love, talking to people, making friends everywhere I go. And so, when I'm working at home and I don't see people, and, even now I'm at WeWork and I don't have like friends in my office here. It's just like, work buddies. Yeah. But I still enjoy just seeing someone and just saying hi, or like getting a coffee, knowing there are people around me and just like feeling people's energy. So I found that to be so important. I would work from home the first year, and I would just have the worst word vomit after a long day. Anyone that would talk to me, like even the old lady on the bench, I would sit next to her and just like talk my butt off, and it was just unbearable. So yeah, I think that like for me the best thing was getting out of the house, because it could be depressing to wake up and be at home all day and eat there, sleep there, don't get out of the house. So I'm just so happy I moved.
And do you go every day or just like 3 times a week or something like that?
I go almost every single day. I also like to keep my equipment there, so I can also separate between working and not. So I try to also keep my tablets at work, so that when I'm at home, if I really need to draw, it will be on paper, and I keep, exercising my muscles with pen and paper.
That's true, yeah, because with also the tablets or all of these, you have one movement with the hand, so do you also do some special exercises or just the thing that you take breaks?
Yeah, I just take breaks. I hope that this will never happen in the future, but so for now I haven't had any strains. I think it's my eyes that are more strained than my hand. I get a lot of headaches from looking at the screen, so I bought these like glasses that like deflect the blue light. I may have got that wrong, but it basically like avoids having headaches. But yeah, I haven't had any issues with that. I just think like the tablet for me has become like, when I see it sometimes I just think like that's work. So I like to also feel like I still draw in other forms that's pleasure, and I could do other things.
Yeah, and what is your favorite tablet? Do you use Apple iPad Pro or like Cintiq or?
Right now I'm experimenting with the HP ZBook. I really like it. It has like Wacom technology. They partnered with Wacom. So that's super fun for me. Because I learned on Photoshop and I need all of those extra tools. I like making my own brushes. I love making my own textures, and Photoshop is like my thing.
Yeah, because that one I haven't tried yet. So is it? Did you try also the other ones, and this one is your favorite?
I tried the Wacom. I tried the Surface Pro. I've tried so many different forms of tablets, but this one stuck with me more, and I think it was just because of it being a Wacom and a computer at the same time. That's what I loved about it. So.
Yeah. And is it like heavy? Is it stationary most of the time, or you can take it outside as well?
It's pretty heavy. It's up to you if you want to take it outside. I mean, it's not. It's like the weight of a laptop, so it's not like you can't throw it in your backpack and go for like a 10-hour walk. But like you can definitely take it out to the park. There's that like it doesn't reflect light, so it's pretty easy to use.
Yeah, and you prefer to work inside, so not so much outside.
Yeah,
like in parks.
So true. Yeah, I prefer working inside. Like I feel like when I'm outside, I take a pen and paper, and I sketch. I don't take my tablet.
Oh yeah. It's always cool when you don't have the reflection. If it is not too hot. But what about the content for the social media when you're deciding maybe who to draw or who to enhance with the storytelling? How do you choose?
I just pick what draws my attention the most. So like I'm constantly screenshotting photos I see on the internet, photos I see on Instagram, like constantly saving things. Like I have so much stuff saved that I want to post. I just haven't had time to. But it's very personal, and it's very much like what makes me feel something. I'm like, wow, like that was so cool. Like the way the photographer captured this, or the way the girl is like, doing something in that image. So it's very much based off of like my own emotion to that image.
And do you usually start with the image, as you mentioned now, or is it sometimes as well like, oh, I really want to draw, I don't know, a mouse with a fur, and then I'm looking for an image which would fit this story?
So it always has to be the image first. Like first I see the photo, and then I know what I can do with it. But I would love to do it in reverse, but it never works out for me when I'm like, I really want to draw a mouse swimming, with some cheese. Like I'm never able to do that in reverse, but maybe I should try to challenge myself more.
Getting out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always look at photos. I will look at a view in an ocean and be like, okay, you know what? Like a mouse could go here, but I never do it the other way around. But maybe I should try that.
Yeah. And how about the process? Does it change from when you work for your own projects and the client work, or do you always have the same process?
Oh yeah, when it's for myself, it's very sloppy. I do whatever I want. Like when it's for a client, there are objectives that you need to reach, and there are, things that they lay out for you that you need to make sure you continue. You need to send them your process so that they make sure that you're on board with them. So it's a lot more, I get a lot more, I wouldn't say, I get more I'm more in a box when it's for a client, because I know what the end goal needs to be, and I work in that box of what they requested. When it's me, anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. So I can literally open the girl's body and put a solar system in there and make it rain butterflies. It's whatever I feel and how I grow with that art piece in that moment. So it's a lot more freedom, because no one really is looking over my shoulder to say we like that and it fits our brand or it doesn't fit our brand.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
And maybe can you mention also some example without mentioning the brand, but for someone who never done it before, so what are the steps of the process working with client, asking a budget, doing the first sketches, or some of these points of the process what usually happens?
Well, with every person it's different. So it could be, they come to me with a budget, this is what we want and this is what we have, and yes or no. Or they'll come to me with a project, and then I'll give them a budget of what I think I can do it for. So, and it really does vary. And sometimes people come to me and say, we want you. So another thing that I do also is I photograph my own images. So we want you to make the entire content. So it's stuff that I did for Puma, I've done for Skechers, and where I will photograph the image. And I did also one for Ralph Lauren, where I make it from A to B. So it's a different process as well of where I tell them what my vision is for this, and I map it out and I show them this is what I have in mind. Let me know what you think, So sometimes I get full creative control. Other times people are very direct of what they want, and I definitely prefer to be the one to tell them what's good for them, but you have to be flexible.
Yeah, definitely, because also then the budget changes depending if they want to book you for a photography as well. Do you also choose your models, or is it that they have their own models, or how?
I choose my models usually. So if it's for Puma, I know which model I'm going to work with, and if whatever it is that I'm doing, I have a lot of friends that are in the industry that are very talented that I work with. So if it's something that I'm making full content for, I do it my way. And obviously if someone wants me to shoot a specific model, we could talk about it.
And then you do a mood boards, and you do few revisions for the brand, or
of course. You have to be flexible and give them revisions. But I don't really do the mood boards. Usually they send me a mood board. Let's say they're doing a campaign and it's all about summer, they'll show me what they're looking for with a mood board.
Yeah. And did you have a favorite project so far, or something which stands out the most?
Let me think. I'm actually working on a project now that I can't speak about, but you'll see me posting it, I think, in the next few months. That I think that right now it's my favorite, because it's probably one of the bigger productions that I've been on. I love working with Puma. They're one of my favorite clients that I have. We've been working together for a few months now. So they really trust me and let me have my way with the illustrations that I do. And they hire me for what I do, and not the other, they don't hire me to be an artist. They hire me to do what I do, which is really cool. I did something that was actually really cool, was that I did a cover for Vogue India. And that was a really big deal to me, just because I come from a background in fashion, and I've always wanted to be hired to do a cover. So that was really cool. But off the top of my head, I can't really remember. I think every project that I do, I'm more and more excited. I'm wow, this is so cool. I can't wait to show them what I can do.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, it's super exciting to get like more new projects, and especially when you like to work with clients, when you have the favorite ones, and or
Yeah.
just like the collaboration just works.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it does. I love when it works out. And, another thing is like for artists, I think you should also know what direction you're going into because I wanted to be a character designer and that was my goal. I wanted to be a concept artist. I thought that was my thing. And I guess where I'm going with this is that you kind of just have to go with your heart. Like, 'cause I always, I follow a lot of character designers and concept artists, and I've always like felt like that's what I wanted to do is create these crazy characters. But my path was different. I followed my own heart and what I would like to do, and I don't know. I made my own style up.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah.
also you're kind of creating a new category, right? Because how do people have a name for this creative career? Or is it the illustrator? Or what do people call you in the industry?
People call it all different things. Right now, I call it magical realism. So basically, like that's my own title. But people call it mixed media illustration most of the times. People also just call it like Donna style. Like they'll say, "We want your Donna Adi style." So
That's cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I also I came up with a hashtag because I have a lot of. Since I've started in the last like 3 years, I think I've had thousands of people like write to me and show me their inspired work. So I just decided like there should be like a platform where you guys can, exchange this stuff. And so I started a hashtag called Adimated. And now like I have a lot of like fans like posting their work, and I think it's so cool as well. So like I think that I'm trying to like made it like my own thing as well, where you can make it like the style as well. I don't know if that was the answer to your question. But,
It's very cool. Yeah, because when you mentioned that it's like special illustration style of mixed media or your style, or maybe it will develop a new name in the future. That's also possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've questioned all the time because I've spoken with people that have been trying to tell me how to run my business, which, never works. But like a lot of them say, like, what are you? Are you an illustrator? Are you a designer? Are you a graphic designer? Like, are you an animator? What are you? I'm like, I don't know. Like I draw on pictures. So it's been hard for me as well to define it. But, I think the easiest way is mixed media, creative director or concept designer. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's tricky also for like a website, or if you want to have a LinkedIn profile, or these areas where you are supposed to be defined as something, and then you're like,
No, I don't fit in a category. Like even when I go to workshops, like whether it's a painting workshop or whatever, and I show people my work and I'm like, hey, you're the master of art. Let me know what you think of my portfolio. And I get the same look all the time from like the top artists in the world. And they're like, it's really nice. And I'm like, yeah, but like, well, how can I get better? Like, what do you think? And they're like, they don't know what to say because like they are animators or they're concept designers or character designers. They're like, well, maybe you can use more contrast. I'm like, okay. So I know that it's hard for people to like also give me feedback because there's not like, I don't think anyone goes to school to study this specific art. It's kind of like free form. So
what would you think, say it's your specialty? If someone would ask you like as well to do maybe more workshops in the future, like if you would have to choose one specialty, is it like storytelling, or is it working with the creative direction, or?
So I think my specialty is concepts. Like I'm very innovative and I have ideas all the time. Like even sitting with you, I'm thinking about things that I have to write down later. I just got, my ideas are always popping up in my head. So I think that like I love coming up with new ideas, but I think my specialty that I can definitely put on paper is like fashion design, wardrobe, like drawing fabrics and clothing. I grew up sewing. My grandma was sewing all of their furniture and kids' clothing and her wardrobe and her dresses and her jackets. My mom did the same. And I grew up with a sewing machine at home, and I've sewn almost everything for myself and my friends. And being able to know how to sew, touch garments, know how it works, working in fashion, and now drawing it, I feel like I can't say that I've mastered it, but I have a great understanding of clothing, and I can probably teach that better than anything. Like I can teach, even I took a class about fabric, just like fabric, and how to draw, how to paint it, whatever. And so I remember the teacher, he was asking me, the teacher was asking me like, oh, what's this called? This, because he was a man and he obviously studied fabric as well, but he didn't even understand the terminology, which he's amazing and I look up to him. But he would turn to me, he's like, Donna, what's this one called? I'm like, oh, that's pleating. And then he'll be like, what's this? I'm like, oh, that's the corset. And, you know, that kind of fold, that's like, I don't know, certain different kind of folds where I knew because I've done it forever, like ruffles and stuff like that. So how does sheer fabric, you know, go over the skin? Those are all things that I just, you know in so many different ways.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely great that if you can learn these kind of things also from family because they are like around you most of the time. Was it also entrepreneurship, you know, from your family, or mostly they work in a company? So like, was there
my parents are entrepreneurs. My dad is an entrepreneur. He actually came to America like penniless, like, you know, with probably him and my mom got married when they were 20, and they like came to America on their honeymoon with like flip flops, and they probably just owned a T-shirt. They had nothing. And you know, he ended up staying there because he saw there was opportunity in America, and he kept, you know, working and built a company, you know, and was able to raise a family. And, you know, he worked very hard, and I enjoy seeing what he's been able to do. And my mother as well, they work together. And I think that also taught me of like, you can do it. Like he did it from nothing, and so can I. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Did you get a chance also to work with them when you were still like studying or like do the internship, you know, in the family business?
No, it wasn't something that really interested me. I more liked, I mean, what my dad did do for me is when I was younger. So my dad is like, he works in like, I would say like construction mainly. He does like a lot of different construction sites and buildings. And so one thing that he did do for me when I was little is like every time I wanted to learn a new medium, like he supported me. So like I wanted to study graffiti and I wanted to learn how to spray paint. So he had, you know, the resources. So he built me a wall so that I can buy spray paints and like start spray painting in the backyard. And then I wanted to there was this phase for 1 year when I was like 17 years old where I wanted to make these mosaics. So I made these like, it's like a Middle Eastern symbol. It's a hand with an eye in it. And I made 100 of them, and he cut the wood out for me, put them on frames, and then I painted all of them and put like broken mirrors and broken glass, and I made them so beautiful. So like he always gave me my resources and platform to explore different fields of art. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah. Were you also one of the kids where they do the, you know, the lemon stand and they start to do the entrepreneurship very young, or not really?
Yeah, for sure. I made perfume when I was little. I used to like I don't even know why anyone would buy this. And I don't remember if we got customers, but me and my friend, we used to smash flowers and put them in little jars, and with like water. It's a great idea though. Yeah, and we would make little stands and sell like perfumes, and we would make, me and her, like robots. You know, and I think the first time I actually was a certified entrepreneur and made actual money was when I took all of those like symbolic hands, the mosaics that I made, and they were like very big, and I went to an art fair, and I sold out, and that was the first time I'm like, wow, like people like my work. I thought I was going to sell like 5 of them, and it's sold out, and I made, I think, like $500. I mean, obviously, I think it was worth so much more, but it was so cool to see that I worked my butt off, and people, like, I don't know, maybe today people still have that hanging in their living rooms. And
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I think I always had that in me. You know, I also started a graphic T-shirt line in college, and I sold that, and you know, it was on TV shows. Because I was in LA, and I would always meet people. Yeah, so like I was always doing something. I was always someone who was just like constantly trying to build something and inspire and you know, create.
Yeah, definitely. Because then it's a very good thing to kind of try things and even also fail or succeed before you go next and further and just learn more.
Totally. Life is a journey, and you have to keep pushing through every different chapter and figure out the lessons.
And how do you kind of progress now, or do the networking, or create the opportunities for yourself? When you mentioned you have the Instagram, right? But do you also do like, I don't know, guest blog posts, or do you go to special events to meet other people to see like, oh, maybe this might be some new venture for me?
That's a great question as well. I think up until recently, I've been very shy. Like if I meet somebody, then they ask me what I do, I'll just say, yeah, I'm an artist, you know, so I kind of like don't throw it out there. And I know that my boyfriend always yells at me. He's like, we go into a gallery and like, it's obviously an amazing networking opportunity. And he'll like represent me. Like, she's an artist. Look at her work, you know, look at her Instagram. So yeah. So I think that I have definitely had a lot of opportunities to network, but I'm very shy, you know, because I feel so grateful when I'm in the presence of other artists and I want to hear about what they do. But I think that that's something this year that I've become a bit more confident about, to just say like, I'm an artist and I work for these clients and I'm, you know, I do X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I think that that's a mission this year as well, is like to start networking and putting myself out there more, because I do work behind a screen. So all of the work comes to me behind a screen. So I don't have to like say like, hey, hire me for this because I'm, you know, great at this. It's the other way around. And maybe that's why I need to build that as well for myself, is like putting myself out there more. So
yeah, maybe in the future, right?
Yeah, maybe in the future, we'll see. I mean, as I told you, like I'm not in, like if I go to CTN, everybody there is an animator or an artist or a concept designer, a visual developer. Like, so when you network, you're networking with people that are working for Pixar or Disney or independent studios. And like, I've always found myself of like, I don't really have anything to offer to these people, and vice versa. I mean, for me, at least, I can learn from them, but it's always been tricky with me. So I always kind of just, you know, go to learn for myself, you know, what other people do.
Yeah, but then you have totally different experience working with different clients, which they don't have. So I think, you have to give yourself more credit, because I mean, you have amazing experiences, which a lot of concept artists don't. So, you know.
yeah, it's different. Yeah, what I do is so different, but I enjoy. I mean, it definitely comes from the world of animation. So at least that. Yeah.
Definitely. That's good. And so if you think about like 5 to 10 years in the future, where would you see yourself, or what would you like to do?
Wow, I really don't know. I think that's a question that I'm also challenged by. I mean, I have a friend who sat with me and asked me to write it down, and like it's very scary to think of like what you want to do in 5 years, because I don't even know what I want to do next year. But I hope like my end goal, no matter what, and like it's something I set out for myself at a very young age, was like I just want to live through art, like whatever it is. Like if it's, you know, I doubt that this will be the case in the near future, but if it is to just paint in the streets and, you know, with your hat out, stuff like that, it's just like be a tour guide at an art gallery, or if it's to, I don't know, work more in branding. Like I just want to live through art and keep growing. I mean, obviously I would love if my work takes off and I'm doing more advertising campaigns. I really do enjoy it. I'm moving into more fine art. I've been like studying a lot more and trying to work on my own collection and like figuring it out day by day. But I also like the feeling of paving my own path and allowing it to lead me in that direction. Because I think that if I would have made a plan for the next 5 years ago, I would be shocked of where I am today. So I kind of just like to let it happen, work hard, and let things unravel and see it. But I know that that's not the case. You know, it's a very common question, and most people have their 5-year plan, and I know I should too. But I am a spontaneous person, and I want to spontaneously figure it out and see what happens. But YouTube channel is the one thing, so hopefully I'll develop that.
Yeah, definitely. And more workshops, right? And,
workshops, YouTube, hopefully soon.
Yeah. But it sounds all super great. So I'm looking forward to see all of that.
Thank you so much.
So thank you so much again for being here. It was super inspirational.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, cool. And thanks everyone who joined as well today. So thanks guys for watching, and I will put all the links in the description if you want to check out more of Donna's art and other stuff, and the YouTube channel and all of that. So
perfect.
Yeah, so see you guys, and see you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.